let me talk to you.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, what a way to start off our Harris Made Chef Services pregame tailgate show. I am MC, joined today by Jesse the Beard Thurman, and we can't forget our main man, Razorback Zach, here via audio only, because Zach's got he's got some functions going on today. What you got going on, Zach?
I am coming to you from our very own Dylan Madden's wedding.
Don't let the bride find out, man.
Yeah, what do you think I'm down here hiding out of earshot and out of eyesight?
There you go. Yeah. Well, that's why Zach is audio only this afternoon, because he's trying to go incognito and make sure that the bride nor any of the bridesmaids kill him from finding out he's going live at the wedding. But Jesse, you played the upset alert video, man. It's been a wild morning so far.
It's been exciting. I'm looking at my screen here. Florida State goes down to Memphis, which I don't know if that's really an upset at this point. But LSU has the ball 3rd and 8 at the South Carolina 10, down by 4 with 5:52 in the fourth quarter. That one's been a barn burner.
Yeah, that one's been a good one. And how about the artist formerly known as Rocket Sanders actually looking like a rocket today? I heard stat line on him. I heard stat line on him on the Razorback pregame show coming in. He's 17, 18 carries, about 135, 140 yards. So, I mean, that's kind of what we had grown accustomed to up until last year from him. But he whatever happened, he's back on track today for South Carolina. And, you know, in my opinion, anytime LSU can go down, that's a good thing.
Well, I can tell you what happened, MC. He went from 248 pounds back down to 225 like he was season before last.
Yeah.
And he's just roasting people. He had a 66-yard touchdown run in the third quarter, I think it was. He just left them in the dust.
So on your, you made mention of the Memphis and Florida State game. A lot of interesting ties there. You know, Mike Norvell used to be the Memphis coach, left Memphis to take the Florida State job. You mentioned wasn't sure whether or not that was an upset. The only way I determine if it's an upset or not, honestly, for me, is if it's a non-Power 5 school that beats a Power 5 or now a Power 4. So I mean, I think you could call that an upset. What do you think, Zach?
I'm trying to make sure my audio. Are y'all good? Can y'all hear me still?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. I still don't consider him a rocket, and don't be too surprised if that rocket runs out of fuel before the end of the season.
Well, that remains to be seen, because before the end of the year last year, he had me wondering if he was Italian, because he got a little fragile as the season went along. So
guys,
we'll see. But
College Game Day today.
Hey, Zach, how much of a fit do you think our boy Bum is throwing right now?
We're not going to hear from Bum for quite a while.
Yeah, Brandon Baumgartner, friend of the show, big Memphis Tiger fan, so I'm sure that he is partying away down there at the Liberty Bowl right now, because they just pulled the upset over Florida State. A lot of good games today, Jesse. A lot going on, and hey, we finally get our Razorbacks at a home game.
Hey, guys,
yes, finally a true home game.
Say again, Zach.
All right, there is a mad delay. Real quick, and then I got to run. I got to go make sure G-Mad's squared away. But I saw a stat today on College Game Day where last week 11 AP ranked teams went down, and it looks like already with these 11 o'clock games that trend is starting to continue.
Well, it kind of seems like when you had that first domino fall on upset games, they tend to kind of stack on top of each other. At least that's what's happened in the past. So we'll see. I can't see my score on Boston College and Missouri right now, but I think Boston College is pulled within a touchdown.
27-21. Boston College just scored.
So they 3:45 left in that one. So they've still got time. Their defense is going to have to come up and get a stop for them here. But that was one that I kind of had on my upset special. That one, and I completely missed my other one, which was I kind of thought Wisconsin would give Alabama a good game, and that did not happen. Well, and then so I found out Tyler Van Dyke, starting quarterback for Wisconsin, was in on the first drive, went 5 for 5, and then got injured and had to be taken out of the game. So I'm using that as my crutch I'm going to lean on as to why Wisconsin didn't give a better game than they did. So we'll moving along. Jesse, with us finally getting our boys at home inside Razorback Stadium, what do you think the crowd's going to look like today?
I think we should have a pretty good crowd. Up here in Northwest Arkansas, weather's nice. 3:15, not too early of a kickoff, not too late.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a good crowd out there. I think we'll be holds what, about 78 now.
Yeah, we're up. We're not quite to 80,000, but we're above the 75. I think that it was before they made the renovations again with the north end zone and everything. I think it's about 77, 78 is going to be your capacity now. I don't know, man.
I'm looking about 65, 67
I could see
today,
that.
man.
I could see that. You know, I could see. I mean, honestly, if the weather's nice up there's no reason to not have a good crowd. It's your home opener. You know, you're coming off of a game that you should have won. You won it basically in every statistical category except for the one that matters. So
the score.
Yeah, the score. But I was listening, like I said, I was listening to Razorback pregame show on the way home. Rick Schaefer, you know, the man's a walking encyclopedia of Razorback history. And he was talking about that if Taylon Green had not lost rushing yardage last week on the sacks in the second half, he ended up with like 61 or 62 net rushing yards. Prior to the sacks, he was up close to 100 yards. Rick said that had he not been sacked as many times as he was in the second half, that he would have set the single game record for most responsible for most offensive yardage by a single player. So
wow.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I mean, and Rick was kind of getting all over himself for not being able to spit that out last week, you know, because like I said, he's the walking encyclopedia. But, you know, what I want to see is I want to see finish on both sides of the ball. I mean, I think Arkansas should come out, set the tone early, and and I say this all the time, but put their foot on their throat and don't let it off.
I look for a performance similar to what we had against UAPB. UAB, like John said when we talked to him on the pod exclusive, they're outmatched, and they know they're outmatched. We need to have a dominant performance. That's why I went 58-3 with my score prediction. Bet Saracen has an allotment of bets for me, and every single one of them is Arkansas on the over, Arkansas covering the spread, the whole 9 yards.
Well, and I think that would do, you know, it would do a lot to restore confidence in the fans, you know, because I mean we've all heard it. I mean even Chuck and Bo were talking about Arkansas going to Arkansas. I mean even they were talking about it, and so if it was to the point that it made their show, then you know the normal fans are just hitting it hard on that. And I think you gotta come out and just put this one away really early for fans like us to kind of have our confidence restored that, you know, there is potential with this season.
Execution is going to be the name of the game. I mean, that's where we bit the dust last week. We failed to execute in key moments.
Yeah. And that was, and that's frustrating because yes, this is a different team than in the past, but you're seeing the same type of mistakes. Maybe not the exact same, but you're seeing the same type mistakes being made over and over and over. And as I always like to point out, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Yeah. Now, one thing I will say is I watched 4th and 5 podcast with DJ Williams. He had Grant Cook on, and they spent 50 minutes, and I think they only ended up breaking down 5 plays because they said, we're giving you an inside look of what it's like in the meeting room on Sundays. This is how it was for us on Sundays. And they broke down, I mean, they'd spend 10 minutes on a play, every little thing that happened, why they think it happened, what the call should have been. And they both said there's a lot of improvement in this team from last year's team. And coming from people with the minds of DJ Williams and Grant Cook, I'm going to trust their opinion a lot more, and I trust my own because they know football better than I'll ever dream of knowing football.
Yeah, and I mean, those guys, you know, those are 2 guys that played for Coach Petrino when he was the head coach. And we all know about how particular he is when it comes to attention to detail. And so I thought DJ, on his previous podcast that he did, he had a great breakdown of just, he had even plays that resulted in touchdowns. He was still going and finding the negatives in it. And he was kind of saying the same thing like what he said on that one. Is like, hey, I'm giving you an inside look as to what I dealt with. We may have scored, but there were still 2 or 3 things that we could have done better. And those little details, you hear coaches talk about it all the time. The difference between, being a champion and not being a champion is in the details. The devil's always in the details. It's those little things that you think don't matter are what end up getting you beat.
And something that Grant and DJ said too is, you've got to look at this. We're not going to see the Bobby Petrino offense that we saw in 11 and 12.
Right.
Or 10 and 11.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to see that offense because they're still on 1,000 level courses of Bobby Petrino's offense. They're still having to think when they get on the line. And DJ said it was so amazing once he fully understood the offense and he was able to get on the line. He didn't have to think. He just did. He looked, he knew what he was supposed to do, and he done it. He said, and that's usually about year 2, year 3. But if they can get there, they already look good. The plays are working. You just got to perfect the little mistakes, the timing, the misread on a block. Correct those things, and we're gonna have the offense we used to have, and it's gonna be amazing if we can get there.
Well, I don't know that offense is going to be the problem this year. You're sitting right now. Averaging about 667 total yards of offense a game. Now, granted, that's only through 2 games, but 1,300 plus yards of offense. It would have taken more than 2 games to get to that last year. We've already eclipsed the number of rushing touchdowns that we had all of last season through 2 games. So that tells me that not only is the line playing a lot better, but almost like the backs are. If the holes were not there last year, the holes are there, but then also their vision is better and they're seeing the holes better and they're using their blocks better to get the better results that we've seen so far. I want to see today, I want to see similar to what we saw with the Pine Bluff game. I want to see Malachi Singleton getting a decent amount of snaps. I want to see some of these backup running backs. Braylon Russell. I keep wanting to call him Braylon Edwards, but that's that's an NFL guy. I don't want to put him in the league just yet, but I want to see him. I want to see some of these younger cats that when they get put into a game later in the year, let's say they get put into the LSU game or the Tennessee game to spell somebody, and it's a big 3rd and 3, they're not going to go out there with deer in the headlights look because they've not had any snaps prior to that moment. There's a difference. You can be as prepared as you want to be in practice, but there's a difference in practice snaps and game snaps, and especially if you happen to be in a hostile environment. So if we can get a bunch of those 2s and 3s to where they are just as comfortable on the field in the game as they are during practice, it'll pay benefits down the road.
Oh, yeah. Definitely want to do that and build our depth because I don't think we have much depth right now.
I would agree.
And the only way we're going to get it is get them boys playing time, get them 100% play speed, because no matter how much you practice, how hard you practice, it's a whole different world being in the game.
Yeah.
Having 70,000 people screaming for you or against you, all eyes on you, the lights, the sounds, the fireworks, it's a different ball game for them guys.
100%. Well, Jesse, I'll tell you what, man. Let's go ahead and step aside for a break. When we get back, I want to talk a little defense and what I want to see from the defense, as well as we'll check some of these other scores, and we'll talk a little more in regards to what can come out of this game as a positive today. Because as you mentioned, Arkansas should overmatch UAB on the field, person for person, but you can always take these games and make the best out of them. So stick around with us. You're watching the Harris Made Chef Services Tailgate Show from inside the hog pen.
Chef James Harris is the go-to for our catering needs at Inside the Hog Pen, and he should be yours as well. Whether it's tailgating, a wedding celebration, or a simple Wednesday night meal that you don't have to prepare, Chef James builds the platform for an incredible dining experience. And with a wide variety of styles and influences, you can be sure Chef will have the menu ready for whatever your needs are. Oh, and by the way, fellas, Looking for a romantic date idea? Chef James offers private chef services as well. Think about it. Just you, your significant other, and a beautifully prepared meal all in the comfort of your own home. Check out Harris Made Chef Services now on Facebook at Harris-Made, or give Chef a call at 609-816-5629 to discuss your culinary needs.
All right, welcome back, everybody. You're on the Harris Made Chef Services Tailgate Show, Inside the Hog Pen. I'm MC, joined today by my bald and bearded brother, Jesse the Beard Thurman. This is yesterday was National Bald Persons Day, so I don't know about you, but I didn't. Nobody showed me any love for it being National Bald Persons Day.
I didn't get any love either, so I'll have to make sure I mention that to Ashley and ask her what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, could at least brought you a cold drink or something as you're sitting in the recliner. So, but hey, real quick, I got to do this. As you could probably tell, I came in here squealing on two wheels about a minute and a half before we went live. I got to shout out my son's team, Bono Warhawks, 3rd and 4th grade team. We are now 2-0 on the year. Went over to Osceola today and took care of business 6-0. So shout out to the Warhawks, and we'll be looking to go to 3-0 next week.
There we go. That's good news. Something I want to bring up on some other scores real quick. Got to give it out to the boys over there in Northeast Arkansas. They gave Michigan a tough game today.
Yeah,
28-18, and I had them on the spread. And
oh, wow.
Bet Saracen's going to owe me some money after that game.
So I had horrible signal where we were at in Mississippi County, and I was not able to keep up with anything on it. But the last score I saw was at half, and it was like 21-3. So it sounds like they might have played a little better in the second half.
They did score and get a 2-point as time was running out, so it kind of skews the score a little bit, but that doesn't matter on the odds. They covered the spread. Also, Missouri and Boston College has went final. Missouri did win it 27-21, but Boston College covered the spread.
There you go. So, and if you're like Jesse and myself, that's all you're worried about right now is if teams are going to cover the spread. So,
and last little update, and we'll get back into the Razorbacks. We've got South Carolina LSU. South Carolina still up 33-29. LSU has the ball driving with 1:56 left in the fourth.
So have you been able to watch much of that game?
I watched a majority of that game, and then I switched over to watch the end of Florida State Memphis.
So what are you seeing different from LSU on offense that maybe they weren't able to do against USC? Are they just executing better, or is maybe USC out west has a better defense than what people are giving them credit for?
The Trojans have a better defense than what people are giving them credit for. South Carolina couldn't tackle in the second half. They pulled an Arkansas. They missed so many tackles. Running backs were running wild. That game at one point was 17-0, and South Carolina should have ran away with it. And they pulled an Arkansas and made some mistakes, and it might come back and bite them. We'll see.
Couldn't slam the door shut when they had the opportunity and let them back into the game. And with a team like LSU, you can't do that. You have to, if you have them down, you have to, as I like to say, put that foot on their throat and twist and don't let them out. Otherwise, they'll make you pay. So I'm looking here.
It looks like about Razorback defense today. I'll tell you the one I'm looking. Have we heard an update on our boy Hud Island?
I was listening to a little bit of that. They were talking a little bit about it on the pregame. They had not really said one way or the other. Now, they did say Jalen Braxton was going to be a game-time decision, and then there was a third player in the secondary, and I did not hear his name, but they said that he was going to be out. So, you're talking about a position that was kind of thin to begin with is going to be a little thinner today. Because even if HUD does play, you got to figure he's probably not going to be 100%. So that's going to be an area to watch, which makes even bigger what I was about to talk about with the defense is that I want to see pressure today. Arkansas was not able to get any pressure on was it Galloway? Is that his name from Oklahoma State?
Alan Bowman.
Bowman. I don't know where I got Galloway. Alan Bowman. They couldn't get any pressure on him. Now he was doing quick 1 and 3 step drops on a lot of passes and getting the ball out of his hand quickly. But if Arkansas secondary is thinned out even more due to injury today, it makes it even more vital for the linebackers and defensive line to get that pressure up front.
I know last week UAB gave up, I think it was like 5 sacks.
Wow.
So something else John said when we talked to him, their offensive line is not strong. Oklahoma State has one of the most veteran lines in the country.
Yeah.
So we definitely need to get a lot of pressure. Even if Hudson's out there playing, he's not 100%. Them boys from UAB are fast.
Yeah.
They've got some athletes. No, they're not SEC caliber, but they still got some guys that can run. And John was saying that was their kind of go-to on offense was snap the ball, 2 seconds, have it to a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
They want to get the ball back and get it out because they know their line's not going to hold up. And that's where our secondary is going to have to come in key and stay locked down. Make sure we make tackles.
Well, and also, another piece of this that's going to fall big on the secondary is that usually when you're in a game like this and you're very overmatched, you tend, that's when you're more likely to open up the playbook and try to go with some misdirection and trickery and really kind of throw things off. It would not surprise me to see UAB try to run some trick plays to maybe have something big happen. And that's when discipline in your secondary and actually your back seven, honestly, you have to stay disciplined and not bite on that first look and make sure that you don't, set the hook on yourself and get caught way out of position with a misdirection or some kind of, trickeration, so to speak. So it wouldn't surprise me to see UAB come out and try to do something like that early. The flea flicker that Oklahoma State had was beautifully executed. I mean, I don't know that I've seen a flea flicker be better executed than what that one was, and it came at a very crucial point in the game. But to watch out for those type of deals early on, especially if we are thin in the secondary. But if the defensive front, can come in and set a tone and get a lot of pressure right away, that's going to muck up their game plan quite a bit.
Yeah, get them running scared. Sooie needs to live in the backfield. Landon Jackson, Cam Ball, Davier, they all need to live in the backfield today.
Well, and, Xavion, we know all about him. And Texas A&M just put 6 on the board in the swamp on their opening drive. Very impressive-looking drive. Just marched right down the field and put 6 on the board quickly. But Xavier Story, we know all about him. We know how great he is. I want to see some of these other linebackers step up. I want to see Brad Spence step up and have a big game. Have 6 or 8 tackles with a couple of them coming for loss and a couple pass breakups or something. I want to see some of these other guys step up because we've seen what Story can do. And, he may draw extra attention, and if he does, then that's going to leave the door open for Brad Spence or one of those other guys to step up and make plays of their own. So, we'll see. Hoping for a good crowd, get a good, loud and wild Razorback Stadium. Hopefully the students will all turn out today with it being the first home opener of the year. And we just come out, take care of business, and, hopefully by, early to mid third quarter, you're seeing the Malachi Singletons and some of the 2s and the 3s setting up there to get their snaps as well.
I'll ask you on this too, since you were listening to the pregame and I've been tied up watching other games all morning. Any update on Luke Has or Rashad Dominion on their injury front?
No, I did not hear anything talked about those two guys specifically. They were talking about the touchdown that Has made in the game last week, and said that you could tell he was hobbled by that. But based on everything I heard, and if I missed something, I apologize. But based on what I heard, they expect him to be back at full strength today. I did not hear Rashad Dominion's name brought up at all, and so I don't know if at this point if that's still an injury or if that's something beyond injury, because Pittman had said earlier this week, I think it was either at his Monday press conference or at the Wednesday night show that he does at the Catfish Hole, that in regards to DeBinion, I think the quote was, he's just got to practice better. And so I don't know if it's something between his ears, or if it's, maybe he's fully healed physically from being injured, but not mentally, depending on what the injury was. Sometimes it messes with your head a little bit.
You get your knees banged up as a running back, and you get a little scared to hit them holes or to cut too hard on it,
right?
Because you don't want to end up in the same boat.
But to me, it's kind of starting to sound like it may be a Dennis Johnson type situation. You remember when Dennis Johnson was here, you always heard the complaints about he wasn't a practice player. He did not practice hard. He didn't do the things that they wanted him to do in practice, but when he got in the game, he made things happen. And he was just, the type of player that when the lights come on, he's going to be ready. I'm kind of wondering maybe if we're starting to head down that road a little bit with DeBinion, because, up to this point, what we had seen out of DeBinion when he's healthy is pretty solid back. I mean, he could make guys miss. He could run around them. Good quick speed, hit the hole really quick. I liked what I saw out of him, but it's just kind of, I don't know if he can't stay healthy or what, but I would like to see him get some snaps today as well.
Well, before we get out of here and go turn the game on MC, I want to bring up one more game from this weekend.
Okay.
Stayed up last night, won a little pocket change from Barry Odom and the UNLV. I'm going to call them the running Razorbacks, considering how many former Hogs are on that team.
Yeah. How about Jalen Catalon, man? He had a heck of a game.
Yeah, had a good pick and return. The former walk-on at Arkansas, Woodard, the linebacker.
Yep.
I'm wondering why we let him go. That's a big boy. He got a pick. He can move. He was giving Kansas fits, but I don't know if you've seen it, but there were two plays to me that stuck out that game. The almost near epic collapse going into halftime.
Mm-hmm.
Had no clue what was going on, and Barry Odom pulled a Sam Pittman and forgot that he had 2 timeouts. Luckily, they got the play off, ended up scoring a touchdown, so it all worked out. And then the fumble in the third quarter that instead of just getting on the ball, Kansas tried to scoop and score, and they scooped it around 2 or 3 times. UNLV recovered, and I believe that's the drive they went down and took the lead on.
It is. It sure is. Kansas decided to play kick the can a little bit and just kind of kicked it all over the field. I mean, it looked like one of those old Sports Illustrated videos from back in the day, the football follies and massive bloopers, because the ball, it was like it was greased or something, man. Nobody could get a hold of it and hang on to the ball, and it ended up costing Kansas because I think you're right. I think that was the drive that UNLV ended up going down on and scoring that ended up being the game winner.
They might have got confused with the stadium they were in. They were playing at Sporting Kansas City Stadium, so they might have thought they switched over to soccer. And I don't know. Kansas is in for a long season. Florida State hadn't won a game yet.
0-3, man.
And I don't see it getting much easier going forward. I mean, I'm sure they got an FCS school in there somewhere, but the way they're playing, there's no guarantee they're going to beat an FCS school.
I mean, how did they go from the season they had last year to now being 0-3 to start the year? Nobody saw that coming.
No.
I mean, that's just unreal. Got a quick score update here. LSU has taken the lead over South Carolina, and it's now 36-33, and a big third down here for South Carolina with 48 seconds left. So they're driving for their life right here. Looks like they've still got 2 timeouts. So they're not.
I just got an update. They got first down, 31-yard.
That's a big
completion.
gain. My TV's a little behind here, so I'm seeing the big gain there, but they're within about 10 yards of field goal range now. So might be headed for overtime in that game. Still 39 seconds left on the clock and 2 timeouts. You're not quite in desperation mode at that point if you've got your 2 timeouts in your pocket, as long as you remember you have them. So
yeah.
But that's
and Beamer, he does get a little fired up and excited over there. He's a young, less talented version of Lane Kiffin, in my opinion.
I could see that. Yeah.
He's got that mentality, but he doesn't quite have that coaching pedigree that Kiffin got.
He's not there yet. He
didn't spend time under Saban either.
Exactly.
So that's part of it.
You took the words right out of my mouth. That's where I was headed with that. So, well, looks like we are about 8 or 9 minutes from kickoff. So, Jesse, you want to go ahead and put a bow on this thing, and we'll let everybody go get their cold drinks and chips and dip and whatever else they're going to have for the ball game. Quick keys to victory. What do you got?
Take care of the ball, execute. You do that, this game's over at halftime.
I can't say it any better myself. That's the two keys to it, and let's just hope we come out of this with no injuries and get ready to go down on the plains next weekend. So, hey, we appreciate everybody jumping in here on the Harris Made Chef Services Tailgate Show. We'll be back for the postgame, the Allen Kerr fifth quarter postgame show, about 30 minutes or so after the final horn goes off. We'll watch our social media. We'll make an update for an approximate time of when we're going to be live with the postgame. But, hey, Jesse, man, I appreciate you holding it down until I could come screaming in here like I did at the very last moment.
Oh, not a problem. We got it off without a hitch. Let's hope the Hogs do the same thing, and we'll celebrate here in a few hours. Hopefully we'll be celebrating a Hog victory and maybe some record-breaking performances.
That'd be fine with me. Then we just keep everybody injury-free and get ready to go to Auburn next weekend. So, all right, we're going to let you go get set for the ball game. SEC Network here in about 7 minutes or so, according to my clock. So for Jesse the Beard Thurman, I'm MC. This has been the Harris Made Chef Services Tailgate Show. We'll see you after the game.
Chef James Harris is the go-to for our catering needs at Inside the Hog Pit, and he should be yours as well. Whether it's tailgating, a wedding celebration, or a simple Wednesday night meal that you don't have to prepare, Chef James builds the platform for an incredible dining experience. And with a wide variety of styles and influences, you can be sure Chef will have the menu ready for whatever your needs are. Oh, and by the way, fellas, looking for a romantic date idea? Chef James offers private chef services as well. Think about it. Just you, your significant other, and a beautifully prepared meal all in the comfort of your own home. Check out Harris Made Chef Services now on Facebook at Harris-Made, or give Chef a call at 609-816-5629 to discuss your